Hi, everybody.
Hello, I'm Ryan.
I'm Bethany.
And we are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews.
And we have another top 10 for you.
10 games that we're going to talk about today. And we're going to be talking about games that are what we're calling next level kid games. So these are not games for kids.
They're not advertised for kids.
Right, exactly. Yeah. We've done other kids' guest lists before. We're talking about 10 games that are great games for kids to transition to before going to, let's say, really big heavy games.
Yeah.
And let's be clear, kids don't have to get to those big heavy games
Heck
without
no.
being a gamer or whatever else.
They might just like this style of next level. They may just stay there because some gamers stay there, and it's totally fine and okay because games are games.
Exactly. But these are games that are past, kids games. Let's say Orchard, and those games are really great for those kids, but they're not quite able to play a curriculum of other games. What do you do next? What's the next step? So this is our top 10 next step kids games.
Yes.
Or games for kids that aren't kids games.
Exactly. That's the one. That's
it's
what we're
confusing
looking for.
as possible. And we'll get to some honorable mentions at the end as well. But let's get into it.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to start this time. You always start.
I do always start.
That's not fair. I'm starting this time.
We're changing it up. You go, Ryan.
All right. So I'm going to talk about Deep Sea Adventure. This is a super small box game, first of all. Really portable, really fun. But its main mechanism is push your luck. And that's not a game that a lot of kids' games necessarily have. They have lots of luck a lot of times. Yeah. But the push your luck aspect of strategizing, should I go a little further down? Should I risk it for a little bit more goodies? Or when do I pull back, And even as adults, we make the wrong call. We die in this game constantly.
All
but
the
it's
time.
a blast to play with our daughters. It's a push your luck game that is not overly complex. It's just, should I go down farther, or should I come back up to the top of the surface with my oxygen?
Yeah. Our number 9 is Cloud City, and the reason why that I really like this one for that next level is it still has a huge game factor to it, right? The components, you're building like skyscrapers across the city, and it gets 3D, so it looks really cool. And so I think that is neat to that next level, idea. It's not necessarily advertised for kids, but it definitely has a huge high toy factor.
Absolutely. All right, so our number 8, this is called Rock, Paper, Switch. This is a game that combines two games that maybe a kid has come into contact with before, rock, paper, scissors, as well as a game like chess or checkers, one of those kind of games. And you are moving these scissors all across the board. You're moving rocks and paper all over the board, but only, just like it might sound, paper has to take out a rock. It can't take out anything else. Rocks can only take out scissors, and scissors can only take out paper. So you're moving the board, and you're basically trying to keep all your pieces alive for as long as possible. So it introduces that kind of that motion, that control on the board, but also that level of strategy of thinking ahead, like, okay, well, I can't move that one there because then they'll get me if I go there. So it's like it gives you that chess thinking ahead without having the heavy rule set of having to control 16 different chess pieces.
Yeah. Pretty good. Pretty fun. And it's like rubbery.
Right. It's impossible to destroy these pieces.
Yeah, the pieces
are silicone, rubbery stuff.
Yeah. Our number 7 is Ticket to Ride London. And honestly, this could be any of the Ticket to Ride Cities games. But it gives you the whole Ticket to Ride game, but in a very short amount of time. It takes like 20 minutes to play. It's a shorter board. The routes are like 1, 2, or 3 spaces away instead of like larger than that. And it's just easier to manage the cards. And so this gives you that same Ticket to Ride thing, which isn't necessarily a complicated game, but it can go longer than maybe an attention span can handle. So this is great for that next level game of, it's a shorter game, the pieces are easier to maintain, and the map is just smaller.
I played this with our 4-year-old yesterday, and she beat me. I helped her like a little bit, but still, she beat me by 1 point. So I grounded her, naturally.
That's not what happened, guys. Oh my God.
No, I gave her a high five. That was awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so our number 6, this is a game called Bites. Similar to like what you were talking about with Cloud City, this has a fantastic toy factor to it.
Yes.
It's got this really awesome 3D like point structure at the end of this trail. There's basically this huge food trail, and these ants, these nice wooden 3D ants, are hopping around, eating all this food up. And it's not one person is in charge of, let's say, the blue ant or the red ant or whatever. We all can be in charge of any of them on our turn, which adds kind of this. It's strange, right? You're not in charge of an ant, but you're trying to use whatever ant you can use to your advantage.
Yeah.
And like I said, it looks great. It goes by pretty quick. Has this really cool looking board that you kind of create yourself. So that way, it's not just a full open board. You're making the route out of these foods. A great next step game.
Our number 5 is Kingdom Builder, and this is a game where you each have your own little tiles. You flip over a card, it tells you a terrain, and you have to follow the terrain rules and place it somewhere on the game. But you want to be careful about where you place it because, two things, you are restricted to where you can place later based on where you originally play, unless there's not a legal move for you to take right there, then you can go elsewhere. And also there's 3 scoring cards, which change. Those change every single game. So it's really simple in the rule set, but there's a lot that you can do there in terms of strategy and where you want to place to actually get points at the end, because the points are based off of the 3 cards. It's not just placing stuff, it's based off of that. So you want to be like strategic with that. And our 8-year-old really likes this game, like a lot, asks for it. Yeah.
All right, so our number 4, this is Forbidden Island. There's a lot of cooperative games that we could put in here, but this is one that works really well for that next step into some of those bigger and more difficult ones. It's a cooperative game, so first of all the information's public. You can work with your kid alongside them, helping them get to the results, and then also you can you don't want to. We're not big on quarterbacking, cooperative games, but this is where you can help them and make the decisions still be theirs.
Yeah.
If you went over here, you could do this. If you went over here, you could do this. What would you like to do?
Yeah.
That kind of a thing. And then ultimately, they're not the loser, you're not the winner, or vice versa. We win or lose together, which makes it a lot more palatable for those losses. And there are some cooperative kids games, but this is a step apart in difficulty from those.
Yeah.
And
especially the way we play it.
Right. Legendary mode all the way.
If we haven't died in the first 6 turns, are you even really playing? Are you even really playing against the game?
We like it. Our co-op's tougher than we probably should.
Yeah, we have a problem. It's okay. We know about it.
So anyways, this is a great one. Easy rule set, so that way it is great for that next step.
Our number 3 is Love Letter. I think this might be one of the first, 1 or 2 games that we did teach our
grown-up games, we call them.
Yeah,
one of the first grown-up games.
Yeah. I just want to put a pin in that real quick. I love kids games. I don't think there's any reason to rush a child into getting into other games. There are just so many wonderful kids games that are coming out all the time. And sometimes I'm sad because our kids have passed the mark for this game that I think would be great, but I know that they're not going to enjoy it because they've passed that. So this isn't I love kids games. I just wanted to put that out there.
Right. This is the only reason we're talking about this is because our 8-year-old is pushing the envelope. She
Yes.
In her mind, she wants to see what else is out there.
Exactly.
And so these are the kind of games that we are introducing to her.
Exactly. Yes. So our number 3 is Love Letter. And the nice thing about this that we found out when we first introduced it to our 8-year-old, she was
6 at the time, maybe?
6 or 5. She couldn't read all the text on the cards, but she could memorize the number, right? So she knew what the 1 meant. She knew what the 2 meant. She knew what the 3 meant. So even though she couldn't understand the text, she could memorize what the cards did. And it's so easy. You draw a card and you play a card. That is it. That's all you do, right? And so that's really easy to pass along to kids, especially if they can, because kids can memorize things better than adults can, because we have too much stuff in our brains and they're just soaking it all in. So they can get that. They can memorize the numbers even if they can't memorize the text.
Yeah. All right, so our number 2 is going to be Marvel United. This is... If we're talking about the toy factor, these minis are out of control. They're high quality. They have that nice chibi style sculpt, and that's just one factor of it. Plus, there's the whole action figure part of it. Our daughter's really into the Marvel characters and the Marvel movies, and starting to get her feet wet a little bit with the Marvel comics. And it was just so much fun to crack open this box. And we're we're gonna face Red Skull. All right, let's do it. Let's get Captain Marvel, and let's get the Hulk, and let's whatever. And then, they work really well together in the movies. Maybe they worked really well together in the card game. And she's planning ahead and you're doing all these things. This is a cooperative game, again, so we can work together. But also, it's a tough one. And, there's different characters that are tougher and tougher and tougher. And there's different modes of play that make it tougher as well. So we did win almost all of our first 3 games of it with our daughter. But... then it was okay, well, let's ramp it up a little bit. And then we started losing, which was good, though, because she needed to see that games are not just, you just open the box and you make sure you win the game. That's not what the game is.
Yeah.
And so Marvel United is a great way to bring the IP into a next level game, so that way they know that they can have a game they like that still is enjoyable as well.
All right, guys, drum roll. That's not how it happened.
I don't know what you were doing.
I don't know.
You're like, wah, wah, wah.
Drum roll. Wah, wah. So our number 1 is Roll For It. This is a wonderful, great game. It comes in a very small package. The dice in this game are super tiny, but they're very pretty. So the fact that they're tiny, it's just like, they're cute, and our girls enjoyed that. And I think this was like the first game we might have introduced her that wasn't a quote-unquote kids game, right?
Right.
And so this was great. I think about this game all the time. I remember when our 8-year-old, when she was younger, and our teacher was telling us that, her teacher was telling us that one of the things that she did really well in, like above average, just one thing, was when they would put groups together of different groupings and like weird shapes, she was able to count how many were actually there. She wasn't confused by that, and we're like, that's because of Roll For It.
Looking at dice, seeing the pips,
Exactly.
and you're able to count at a moment's, okay, there's 5 there, 6 there, whatever it was, and just look at the dice and know what the number is.
Exactly. It was 100% because she was really into this game at that time that they were, looking for that in school. And so I'm like, that is 100% Roll For It, because she wanted to play a mommy and daddy game, and this was the one we pulled out, and it was perfect.
Yeah, I've been playing with our 4-year-old. There's actually a fantastic app version as well. And so when we're out and about someplace, we're sitting, waiting in line or whatever the case is, hey, can we play a Roll For It? And the app just works really, really well. And this is a great one.
Yeah. We do have a few honorable mentions. The first one that I want to talk about is King of Tokyo. The reason why we couldn't put it on our list is because we've actually never played this with our girls.
We need to.
Weird, as weird as that is, we've never played this with our girls. But I have recommended this game to other people for their school-aged kids as like presents. For their kids, or their kids going to a party and they don't want to buy them like a generic toy. Do I have any game suggestions? And I've suggested this one more than once, and it's always come back positively. It's always gone over well, so I just wanted to mention that one.
It's got the fun artwork, the fun gameplay, simple gameplay. You're rolling these big chunky dice and beating each other up. Yeah, it's fun. All right, so the 2 I want to bring up as honorable mentions are technically kids' games marketed to kids. Yeah. And with this list, we wanted to avoid kids' games. But My Little Scythe is one of them, and another one is Pebble Rock Delivery Service. Those are the kind of games that we're talking about, really. They are past kiddie games, but they're still marketed towards... Which we love. Yeah. And they are marketed towards that 8-year-old category, that next step of kids that they're past the kiddie games. They're not ready for the huge games, and this is a fantastic block of filling that gap. Yeah. But they are marketed towards kids. So My Little Scythe and Pebble Rock Delivery Service are both 2 really great examples of games that kids that age group can play and will want to play and are marketed for them. They just didn't quite make the strict parameters of our list, talking about...
not kids' games.
Kids' games.
But everybody, thank you so much for watching. And let us know, what would you consider a next up game for a child? What are the games that you love playing with your kid that maybe they just don't want to play anymore because they've aged out of it? Oh, so sad. Let us know in the comments below. Until then, you can find us on Facebook, we're Ryan Bethany Board Game Reviews. On Twitter, we're Ryan Bethany 1. And on Instagram, we are Ryan and Bethany.
All right, guys, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody. And if you heard any of that beautiful singing and piano playing in the background, that was our daughter playing a next level instrument.
Yeah. Our 4-year-old just like going all at it. It's great.
Mozart in training.
Yep.